talk about Borges, The Circular Ruin, but this is a watercolor I did last year on January 1st. See the title? But I did it in different sizes, made prints, and sent it to some people. And that's what the story kind of reminds me about. This promises to be an interesting video. It promises to be a longish video, and by that I mean over 10 minutes, but I'm going to talk about several things. Backstory on this briefly, and then at the end, I'm going to talk about some personal things and mention a couple other books too, so you'll see what I mean. Wish I knew how to do the time stamps like below, but there'll be if you want to zip to the end, you'll be able to do it, but I'll talk about the story first. Let me talk about, I started getting into Borges, or thinking about getting into him a couple years ago without reading anything by him. Watching videos from the Codex Cantina, Una and Crypto over there. They have a playlist on Borges, and I can go back to it, and I have comments that are over a year old. So I went back after reading the story and making notes on it, and listening to the text while reading, and then listening to it again. And then I think I read it like 3 times now, at least. Then I went back and listened to Una's take on it. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. At the end, I'm going to talk about personal experiences with astral projection, lucid dreaming, meditation like path working. And these are some old school books by the late great married couple, Denny and Phillips, astral projection and path working on the Tree of Life. Jewish mysticism, which I'm finding Borges is obviously very familiar with it. When he says magic, he's talking about Jewish mysticism and Hermetic magic, like the Golden Dawn and Aleister Crowley, things like that. But Una had an interesting take that I didn't really jump on immediately, and it's at the beginning of the story. That's Jesus Christ references. Because we have just with a stranger comes to a village, get a boat, a canoe, that goes into the mud. Now, mud reminds me of these golems, Golems, from Jewish mysticism, where you can actually create out of mud an image of a human-like entity. And that's what the story is all about. And so I went off in like that direction in my thoughts. Una brought it around to, there's other symbolism too. So link to that video from Codex Cantina below. And also, Greg and another Bibliophile reads. So finally, after talking to like these 2 guys primarily for a year or more, Greg finally said, here's your book. You go. We were looking for a used copy for a while, so we got into this great book. This book is going to become like my Ulysses. It's going to be, yes, all that, but it's going to be well used and read by me. But I would love to get together with those 2 guys and do some like live stream after I can get into the book and the stories more. So, on with the show, right? Boy, he's described as like a taciturn man, this foreigner who comes to this village and finds a temple. And there's another temple down the road, but he knows this temple's for him. He's the story has much to do with sleep and dreams. It's a very short story, just pages. A very small number of pages, 15 minutes will take you to read it. It is like a perfect story. It's in and of itself, there's no, there's a beginning and end, but it's cyclical. As soon as it ends, it begins again, much like Finnegan's Wake. I find a lot of Joycean stuff in Borges already, and I'm just at the tip of the flaming iceberg. The story has elementally, it has to do with fire and water. And he packs so much into just a small amount of verbiage of information. So we have a foreigner who comes and finds this temple in the jungle, like a Peruvian feel for it too, falls asleep in front of a temple, and he wakes up and he finds these the villagers have been watching him. The villagers have been watching him sleep. They give him uh, um, adjectives like magical and the sorcerer and like that. But we know that he primarily wants to dream a man. That's his like soul life purpose. That's what he's here to do, and he's doing it. Now, what I might be totally wrong about this book, but he has students. I think the story. The man has the sorcerer has students, and they go to work on studying anatomy and all about human bodies and things like that. Now, I think he's doing it astrally. I think he's dreaming it, and I've read the story 3 times. I'm not so sure. He might. I think it's astral, but he's creating a human being. That's definitely done astrally. Not that I know from experience, but that's what he's doing. He's creating his son. Yes, like God, like Dr. Frankenstein did. Uh, from the so dreaming is harder than weaving a rope with sand. Uh, he prays to gods. He dreams of a heart. The heart. He doesn't touch the heart in the dream for 14 days. He just observes it. He says, creating the hairs on the human body is the hardest of creating a phantasm, he calls it. Now, uh, sidebar, phantasm. Does anybody remember that old horror movie in the mausoleum with this flying silver billiard ball that went around and had a drill on it that would poke you in the head? Drill you? Yeah, that was a movie back in the late 70s. Several people on BookTube have seen it. Let me know in the comments if you've seen it. Anyway, so this phantasm comes to life. Sometimes it's a like a man-made flesh. That's not in the book, but calls it his son, and the son goes to that other temple down the street I mentioned, and he mentions in the beginning. Yes, and then the should be reading directly from the book because I have a lot of notes in here. Just great writing, of course. Let's see, very short story, you know. The ruins of the sanctuary of the god of fire were destroyed by fire. In the birdless dawn, the sorcerer watched the concentric holocaust close in upon the walls. For a moment, he thought of taking refuge in the water, but then he realized that death would be a crown upon his age and absolve him from his labors. He walked into the tatters of flame, but they did not bite his flesh. They caressed him, bathed him, without heat and without combustion. With relief and with humiliation, with terror, he realized that he, too, was but appearance, that another man was dreaming him. Let me know if you've read the story, if you're getting into Borges like me, or if you're an expert like Greg and Una. Now, we're going to talk about astral projection a bit. I've been into it for many, many years, decades. I have the receipt. I put receipts in books I buy sometimes. This is from Moultrie, Georgia, when I was living in southwest Georgia, 20 miles north of Tallahassee. And I bought this on May 30th, 2015. And I've read these guys before. I really like them. There's a lot of things on astral projection online that I could mention, the ones I use, but I'm sure they have newer ones, newer people. I remember I had books on it that came with CD-ROMs with, you could listen to it while you went to sleep. Now it's all online, very easy. So I'm tempted to get back into it. I have many old notebooks playing over here to my other shelf. I'd like to go into and get back into dreaming. I would have to stop smoking marijuana. When I stop smoking marijuana, my dreams really take off. And I could talk about astral projection all day. I have a library of my own that I went to. It has an elevator, and I keep going back to it. I've been kissed by my HGA, my holy guardian angel. Now I'm not saying I believe in all that stuff. Just saying. And she's a woman with short black hair that reappears in these projections that I can control lucidly. She's sent one time she sent me like a cell phone floating across the elevator, and it sunk in my chest into my heart. IDK, what that means. But I'm looking for a book on the shelves. If I can get up this elevator, and I have a few times. It's a big. It's not like a Borges library. It's more like your local library on steroids. Like they have walking tracks. You can stand on and move like an airport. Things like that. But I'm looking for book number 770.93. And sometimes it's hard to interact with these beings. They're friendly, and then some are mischievous. You have to get rid of those. But they're all constantly kind of distract you and stuff. Anyway, sounds crazy, don't it? Well, I've been through crazier things too. Don't get me started. But let me know if you're into meditation, astral projection, dreaming, anything. These are oldish books. They path working on the tree of life. I enjoyed that. They have guided meditations to get you into the path working too, and that's all corresponds with the tarot. But yeah, Melita Denning and Osborne Phillips, grandmasters of different things. They were really active in the 80s to the late 90s. This is a Llewellyn publication, and it's from it's from 2012, second printing. First one, 1985. So yeah, they are kind of old. So hey, if you want to get into some stuff with me, let me know, because I'm doing some Finnegan's Wake coming up in April. There's I don't know if it's Tibetan or what branch of Buddhism it is, but real close to me, a meditation center. I'm thinking about getting off my lazy ass and going to that. So hey, thanks for watching. If you made it this far, I hope you like or subscribe and leave a comment. Or you can, if you want to get more deeper, into this, Vox with me, Allen, lowercase a, LLEN 770. Vox. Okay, take care. Thanks.